we are. So you can all hit that little button. So I'm going to place my hands on my heart. Take that deep cleansing breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this opportunity to come together to be the two or more who are gathered in the name and the nature of love. Grateful for our willingness to shine away any and all blocks to love, to remove any and all veils that are hiding the love from us, even though it's there, just like a cloud hiding the sun in the sky. We are grateful for our dedication and devotion to this practice of living the teachings of Jesus in A Course in Miracles, the practice of living a life of love, loving ourselves and all others because we are one. We are grateful for the mighty companions that walk with us and talk with us each and every day. And we're grateful for those blessings that we receive from them. We are grateful to be able to share the blessings and the love and all that we are with everyone because we're one with them. In grace and divine gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. So we are in the Manual for Teachers, the section, the characteristics, what are the characteristics of God's teachers? And today we are doing 9, faithfulness, and 10, open-mindedness. And I think I'm going to start us with open-mindedness, the second or third sentence in the first paragraph. Open-mindedness comes with lack of judgment. As judgment shuts the mind against God's teacher, so open-mindedness invites him to come in. As condemnation judges the Son of God as evil, so open-mindedness permits him to be judged by the voice for God on his behalf. As the projection of guilt upon him would send him to hell, so open-mindedness lets Christ's image be extended to him. Only the open-minded can be at peace, for they alone see reason for it. And then a couple sentences down in the next paragraph. They have in truth abandoned the world and let it be restored to them in newness and in joy, so glorious they could never have conceived of such a change. And then a couple more sentences down. No clouds remain to hide the face of Christ. Forgiveness is the final goal of the curriculum. And then the last sentence in that paragraph, forgiveness is its single aim at which all learning ultimately converges. It is indeed enough. And I feel like this is what Gary Renard meant when he titled his book Disappearance of the Universe, because it is the disappearance of the universe that I made up, what we call in A Course in Miracles, the illusion. So open-mindedness allows us to see the real world, see beyond that sense of illusion, like that quote that Carla mentions often from Jennifer's teacher, Reverend Michael Beckwith from Agape, where he says, when you believe more in what you don't see than what you do see, then you will see what you don't see, and you won't see what you do see. And I feel that's exactly what he's talking about here. Just let go of what we think the world is, be open-minded. So that's where I'm starting us off. Anybody else like to share what inspired them in these 2 little sections? Also quiet. Well, another thing that that spoke to me regarding the section on faithfulness. And I feel like there's so much synchronicity in my life at this moment, because I'm also in the food freedom masterful living support group. Took a minute for my brain to get that all out. We are going through Marianne Williamson's A Course in Weight Loss. And I feel like that is one of the things that he is talking about in faithfulness, where he says that does he still select some aspects of his life to bring to his learning while keeping others apart? And I feel like there are so many ways that I have kept issues of the body apart. You know, it's that thing that Jennifer talks about. You know, he asked for a little willingness in the beginning, but in the end, he's asking for all of it. And so I'm seeing that I'm a little more willing, that my willingness is growing to let go of things surrounding the body, which have been a challenge for me, I would say almost all of my life, dealing with the health of my loved ones and my own health and my perception of body image and weight. You know, I still have that sense of separateness, that it's not something that can be healed because it's real, right? So I was grateful to read that too in the faithfulness section. Anybody have anything they'd like to add or share? Go ahead, Grace, and then Mary Lee.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Linda. I love the fact that you share so much, because it always triggers something in me and I go, oops, I'm doing that too. But yeah, I think that, you know, I also do that. It's like, I can leave that to God, you know, but this is too complicated, or, you know, he wouldn't be interested, or, you know, I can't let go of all this. So yeah, I noticed that I have been doing that in the past, and I just keep telling myself now I'm all in, everything. Like when we finish this group here, I just say to Holy Spirit, what shall I do now? Everything now, to be all in.
Yeah, beautiful, Grace. Thank you. Mary Lee.
Well, I guess I wanted to hear a little bit more, Linda, what you were, when you were talking about the body, and what are you going through, or how are you thinking differently about it that's helping you?
Well, I think in the past, and even up to the recent past, and still there's a part of me that still believes this, is that it's a combination of what I have heard in the world from others, from supposed medical experts, and what I have, and how I am holding it in my mind, like it's too trivial to bring to God, or it's too hard for God. You know, I don't want God to have to deal with this. Like, it's not that important. But if there's only one, then I guess it's really important. And so why not? I remember as a kid taking care of my family because my mother had back issues because she dealt with depression, and watching her deal with her own weight issues and bringing me into the weight issues from the time I was like 9 years old was the first time she brought me to Weight Watchers meetings. And, and we learned what foods were good and what foods were bad, and, how the doctors think that you should be at this weight if you're at this height because that's healthy and anything else is not healthy. And so it's cumulative learning that I have done in the world that has, and then taking care of my mom through the end of her life with the diabetes and the heart disease and the dementia and fibromyalgia and my own supposed diagnosis of fibromyalgia and osteoarthritis, and now dealing with diabetes and high blood pressure on my own, plus my husband's health issues. It's like the body is something separate that I have this sense that in order to heal it, I have to eat a certain way, I have to exercise a certain way, I have to stay away from bad foods that, I have labeled as bad. So I'm trying to force my will on the problem instead of surrendering it. And so in doing that, what I'm coming to realize more and more is, first of all, it's another way that I feel that I'm special. I'm especially bad or wrong or broken or whatever and can't be fixed. It's also another way of what was the word? I was just thinking of it. It's another way of just not surrendering and not giving the whole of me to God, and recognizing that if God says that I'm perfect, whole, and complete, then who am I not to? Does that mean that I'm making the body an idol because I think it's more powerful than God? So I'm questioning a lot of that stuff, and I know the answers. I know that, the body is not more powerful than God. I know that, but I'm not living that way. And so I would like to align the truth of my being with the way of my being. Does that make sense?
I'm pondering your words.
Okay.
I had read our next chapter, thinking that that's the one that we were on, which has about how is healing accomplished. And so I just thought that your words tied in with that as well. But I'm not sure I understand it or embrace it.
Yeah.
So maybe as I hear our discussion today and next week and that, maybe I will understand it, or and like I said, embrace it better.
Yeah. And that's okay, Mary Lee. You will get it the way that you are supposed to get it in each and every individual moment. It doesn't mean that my understanding has to be your understanding. That's just my understanding. Like Jennifer says, a judgment is just a spicy opinion. So that's my opinion of what it means. So, you know, it reminds me too of the whole where he says words are but symbols of symbols. If the English language was adequate enough, maybe we could really express this, but we can't. It's something that I am working to understand it logically, because that's where it feels like the stuckness is a little bit, is in the brain, in my mind. But I would really like to just feel the truth of my being, which is perfect, whole, and complete. And I'm not feeling that yet, because I'm still feeling remnants from the surgical procedure I had a few weeks ago. I'm still feeling sluggish in my body because I'm carrying around what I am judging as too much weight, what society would judge as too much weight. But what I'm finally starting to get is that when I start believing that I'm perfect, whole, complete, that's when the changes will happen. And I'll be like, wow, that was so freaking easy. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. Hello. No, when you were saying that, I was just having a thought, like, the completeness is where do we look for the completeness? Like we don't have to be perfect in the world. We don't have to wait to become perfect in the world before we can know that we are complete in God. So I mean, that's also something that I catch myself on. Like, it's so easy to try to search for the answer in something in the world where that's not the place to look. So it's not in the body either. So we can have dysfunctional bodies, and at the same time be perfect as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't have to seem to overcome the diagnosis of diabetes and high blood pressure or the excess weight that I'm carrying around in order for me to be perfect, whole, and complete. But what I'm seeing too is, and again, like I said, there's a lot of synchronicity going on. I'm going to be giving a talk in our Masterful Living Grief Support Group on somatic movement and grief and trauma. And what I'm seeing as I'm writing out my experience of starting that journey in 2014 is how, if I knew what was going to happen, things could have been way different. So it is that kind of bait and switch that Jennifer talks about. God is a bait and switch operation, because I quit my job that I had been working at a desk in a holistic health clinic for 8 years, near the middle to the end of 2014. what I thought was the reason that I was quitting my job was so that I could do my coaching and spiritual counseling. And then what happened at that same time, around that same time, actually a few months earlier, I started studying with my somatic teacher, doing movement work and adding that movement as part of my spiritual practice on a daily basis. So I was getting that kind of solid foundation built up of my spiritual practice, and the movement practice that was a part of it. Went to a week-long intensive with my movement teacher, where I had been sitting at a desk for 8 years. And the intensive was 9 a.m. until 6 o'clock at night, or until 9 o'clock at night, with breaks for lunch and dinner, doing movement, dance and intense movement practices. And my body was like, that first day I thought I was not going to be able to get out of bed, but it helped to solidify that foundation of my spiritual practice. And then several months later, I needed those foundational things to deal with the death of my father and deal with taking care of my mom. So I thought I was quitting my job and getting a solid foundation of spiritual practice, which included movement, because of the practice that I was going to be doing, serving others. But that's not what it turned out to be. It was because I was going to need that stuff in my life to deal with my grief and taking care of my mother. Synchronicity. I would have never seen that coming. And would I have done the same things if I knew that that's what was going to happen? Probably not. I probably would have curled up in a corner and cried. So yeah, always learning. Leslie.
Hi, everybody. Am I on? Okay, good. Thank you for your share, Linda. I think it's interesting, and I know, Mary Lee, you might not know that I'm a nurse too. Probably not as long as you have been, and I have not been a bedside nurse for very long at all. But I personally, I say a lot to myself that the body is not real. I am still as God created me I'm still as God created me to be, and yet I also do believe in the magic. I'm grateful for pharmaceuticals. I'm grateful that as we're living in this dream world, drugs can be part of this world, because I've seen it firsthand in myself, how much of a big difference it's made. And I think it's so interesting. My husband, Scott, was he's been a type 2 diabetic for a long time because he's been on metformin. But he never considered himself a diabetic, even though I often reminded him that he was. It wasn't until the doctor recently said, I'll see you in 6 months to check on your diabetes, that he was like, what do you mean I have diabetes? And now he's changed the way he's eating, and he is on blood pressure pills. But the difference I see between you and him, Linda, a little bit, is he has never been tied, his self-worth is not tied into his body. It's just a little bit of a change for him, but he doesn't feel bad about himself. He doesn't think this shouldn't be happening to me, even when his intestines exploded from the diverticulosis. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, and I know I have a great nephew who, he's only 7, and he's sneaking food. I mean, and his parents there's a lot there, but my mom and I were talking about it, and the biggest thing we would love for him to learn is it doesn't matter what size you are, you're still a worthwhile human being. God still loves you just as much as if you were a thin person. Priscilla's not here today, but she always just says it's your character. This is what your character looks like, And I also hear what you're saying, that if you do feel sluggish, I mean, since I've increased my water intake, I can't believe how fantastic I feel. It's just you have to learn what your body needs, and I think that's awesome that you're tuned into God to lead you on that path. So I'm just happy if you're on blood pressure pills, because that's the silent killer, right, Mark? And we all like those blood pressure pills. So
Yeah,
'cause
I'm doing the magic too, Leslie. Absolutely. I'm drinking my 2 to 3 liters of water every
Yeah.
day, and
Good
I'm
for
taking
you.
my blood pressure and diabetes medication. Yeah, it's a spirit guided thing for me still. I don't think that spirit would guide me to stop taking my medications.
Right.
And I do go to the doctor every 6 months to get things checked out. So,
Good.
yeah.
But I mean, and then there's people that I'm so glad that you're intuitive enough to follow your instincts. That's a good thing. I mean, just because the doctor tells you to do something, that doesn't mean you have to do it, but generally it's a good idea. So it's just, I've learned too, is like, man, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't God doesn't care. We are truly all just spirit. We're truly all just spirit.
Yeah. And I know I'm like, it's not, for me, it is not about how I look. It's about how I feel in my body. And because if I followed, what the standard Western medical community says in their charts, I should weigh like 113 pounds. And I didn't even weigh that when I was in high school. So they're crazy. They're crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I'm following spirit, but I'm also, spirit guides me to the doctors and the practitioners that help me deal with everything. So
right.
Yeah.
And I know when I was in sales, when I called on this vascular surgeon, he said the best thing anybody can do for their body is just walk a mile. If you just walk a mile every day, you would be so far ahead of the game, it wouldn't even be funny. And as far as the section we read, I enjoyed the open-mindedness section a lot too, because I've always been very grateful that I am open-minded, and I'm not, because I know some people are closed-minded, and you can't have a discussion with them, because their opinions are right and you're wrong, and they know everything, and that's fine, that's fine. But I'm grateful I am open-minded, and I'm always willing to learn more. So.
Me too. Learning all the time. Thanks, Leslie. Derwin and then Mark.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good day. Good day, everybody. Many things that I heard today from you sharing. Thank you all for sharing. That I want to react on. So I'm not a nurse, but I'm a son of a nurse. My mom is a nurse, so I have a lot of love for nurses and what they do. Seems like the healthy talk is here, and I'm drinking more water. I wrote down for myself, thank you. I needed that reminder because I'm not drinking so much water. As a matter of fact, I'm snacking candy here while listening, and I'm not going to judge myself for it. I am not going to judge myself for it. Yeah, the last two sections of now this smaller chapter, faithfulness and open-mindedness. I must be honest, with faithfulness, I felt a lot of resistance. Somehow it felt like, in my mind, of course, too much that I cannot attain to, especially in paragraph 2. And then I was thinking, are these 10 different elements, or are they hierarchical? And but I don't, of course they are not, I think they're, or maybe they are, I don't know. In open-mindedness, I felt more of a connection to the reading. And I especially like the last paragraph, so paragraph 3, in which it states that certain attributes are not in the list. Things like love, sinlessness, perfection, knowledge, and eternal truth. Because these are already in us, completely in us, and it's about removing everything, whether it is body fat, whether it is old clothes, whether it is other people clinging on us, whether it's our thoughts, it doesn't matter. In the 7th sentence of paragraph 3, they say, properly speaking, it is unlearning that they bring. For that is true learning in the world. I liked that. So our curriculum is to unlearn everything that hinders us from reaching to that love, sinlessness, perfection, knowledge, and eternal truth within us. And it got me, I got this reference of this, you know, when the sculpture, and you make the sculpture and you can form a very beautiful piece of art out of it. That is it as well, right? Love, sinlessness, perfection, knowledge, and eternal truth. So in us. And we're here to unlearn and unlearn and unlearn. And the way I get it, as long as I am here in this body, I am still here to unlearn. So how can I live? Perfection is that I don't live in this perfection. Otherwise, there is no reason for me to be here. So yeah, I don't want to leave here soon. So come, bring them challenges and stuff. That's what I wanted to share. Have a
Thank you,
nice
Dylan.
day, everybody.
Yeah. Always getting opportunities to be a demonstration of love. That's what we're doing. Mark, and then Gwen.
Yeah, I wanted to react on the, or say something about this thing about magic that we were talking about, right? Because when I read it like some time ago about this thing about magic, and I think the text also mentioned medication in especially, and I thought it was a little bit hard. How should I like how should I handle this? Because myself, I'm also on medication. Maybe just I mean, I've had I've the same kind of diagnosis from Linda, yeah, or some. I'm sorry. No, at least I'm taking medicine as well, and I thought, well, this is. Am I not it's talking about teachers of God. I'm not a teacher of God because as long as I'm on medication, this is a strange thing. And now I was thinking about this medication when we were talking about it, the magic. I mean, everything is magic in this world because everything is not the fundamental truth. So every time when we are doing something in the world which affects some other part in the world, that's the use of magic. Because when I'm picking up a cup and I put it somewhere else because it's in the way, it is in the way in the dream, right? So it's all dream. So everything is magic. So because for me it was a little bit something that was, I had a hard time, especially this thing with medication, and the same like you were talking about, Linda. It's like I think I'm going to just forget the thing, this section that it said about magic. It's I mean, when we're there and when we meet God somewhere in the future, well, future doesn't exist, okay, then it doesn't matter and what the hell if it's been magic. It's through magic as well that we learn. So yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Mark, that, you know, we can use the magic as long as we think that we are appearing in this physical world. It just reminds me of in the movie The Matrix, where when he walks into the room with the little kids that are bending the spoon, and he says, the little kid says to him, "You have to remember, there is no spoon. Don't try to bend the spoon.
Yeah.
There is no spoon."
Mm.
So yeah, magic away. I mean,
Yeah.
I do it too.
Mm.
As soon as I'm ready to fizzle out in a bunch of sparkly light, then all the magic will be gone. Yeah, thank
You know, is someone else ahead, Linda?
Gwen has her hand raised. You want to go right after her, sweetie?
Sure.
All right, thanks, Robin. Go ahead, Gwen.
Thanks. I think I missed the beginning about the whole magic thing. So, but what stuck out for me was in the first paragraph that faithfulness is the teacher of God's trust and the word of God to set all things right, not some, but all. And then in open-mindedness, the second paragraph, they have let go all things that would prevent forgiveness. And I am sitting in a really, what I consider somewhat a devastating experience. Someone I thought I knew, it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and I feel I've been treated very cruelly. And I've been a mess emotionally. I feel like I've been really discombobulated, and I know that I am in the process of I'm trying to readjust. It may take a while, and I haven't gotten to the place. I want to see the whole situation with this viewpoint of the Course in Miracles offers us, and I'm having difficulty. I'm not there with it yet, and I'm having a very hard time with that. So I'm going to be listening for other perspectives, because I'm just so much in shock and disbelief of my experience that it's very hard right now. So thanks.
I'm so sorry. And I totally get where you're coming from, and don't rush yourself. You're not there yet, and that's okay. You can be in the pissy, dirty diaper for as long as you need to be, because that's the way our personalities work. You know, we're not expected to jump up out of a traumatic situation and go, everything's cool. You know, that's complete spiritual bypass. So that is not helpful. The only thing that I might suggest is, if you have any kind of movement practice that you do, to write how you feel in the moment, write how you would like to feel, and then move with both of those things. And let the
Okay.
anger and the frustration and the sadness and the grief move out of you to make room for what you would like to receive
That's so beautiful.
and how you would like to feel.
But great thought, Linda. I will do that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And don't do it until you're ready to do it. Like I said,
Sure.
sit in the anger for as long as you need to. No judgments.
Yeah, well, I think I have to allow because I think that's one of my things where, oh, you want to be nice and don't think ill. I've got to be this kind person to send out kindness and receive kindness.
Yeah.
But I think I need to really allow myself to be really freaking angry
Oh,
and
absolutely.
mad.
Yeah.
So I will embrace that. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. I mean, Gary Zukav says that being an aware person doesn't mean that you don't get angry. It just means that you're aware of the anger. So be angry for as long as you need to be angry. Screw the spiritual goody two shoes in you that is telling you that you should not be angry, because you are. If you weren't supposed to be angry, you wouldn't be angry. And as soon as you're not angry anymore, that's when you're not supposed to be angry anymore. In the meantime, go at it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That helps because, yeah, I just had something happen yesterday. It sounds like a non-issue. I was asked to send some things, which I did, and I got a check for the payment yesterday, and my name is not on the check. I was talking with my brother and he gave me a perspective. Oh, that's easy, Gwen. You're non-existent to this person. And I know this person and there's no reason for that to be blank. And I'm like, I can't believe how I've been treated. I'm like, I don't deserve this, but I don't want to be a victim either, but I will definitely sit with the emotions and I'll do as you suggested. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome, honey. Robin, and then Mary Lee, and then Leslie. Oh, you muted yourself. You were already unmuted. I've done that so many times. There you are.
So I just follow up quickly, Gwen. And I know we all, when we hear a story where we can feel your heartbreak, we have that as well. And what is really sweet, and Linda's already said it, is what we have going for us is that we have this awareness. And in the awareness, we can be angry and whatever emotion that needs to come and welcome it or bat it around, whichever of those choices. But in the end, what we've got going for us is this awareness that home is always there for us. And it's always there, whether it takes you a minute or 24 hours or a month or whatever we have the awareness of the love that is always waiting for us to return to, even if it's just for a moment. And that practice of returning back home, that practice of saying, oh, let me come back home. For me, it's like, it's freedom to know that I have that. So, yeah. And for all of us that have any pain, and we all have pain about something, to know that we have this portal of resting and finding the peace that is ours to claim when we come to the present moment, when we can come back home to the present moment and that holy instant, just for a moment. And it may take a while, but we have that. So, and the other was about taking medication. It's like if you break your neck or oh golly, that's really terrible. I was thinking knee. If you break break your knee, you're going to go get your knee worked on, right? That's all I'm going to say about that. You know, and all these wonderful, we've all had our things with our modern day medicine, and we'd like to see something better. And hopefully we are a progressive universal heading towards better medicine. But in the meantime, I remember my mother-in-law, she would have things go not well, and we'd take her to her doctor, and they'd bring out the physical therapist, and she was like, I mean, the quality of life just rose up. So I learned a lot about appreciating doctors and nurses and the medicine. But the system, our system is still like all of our systems are. And I don't want to get into that because there really is no system. It's all an illusion. So I don't want to. And the other thing is, I just wanted to, I read this once, and I don't know what brought me to it, but I'm just going to read it, and I might have something to share. Do we have time, Linda? I don't want to. Okay. Or I might not say anything. So, but anyway, it's in that little section 9, our changes required. And it's in the second paragraph. And it says, as the teacher of God advances in his training, he learns one lesson with increasing thoroughness. He does not make his own decisions. Okay. He asks his teacher for his answer, and it is this he follows as his guide for action. Well, I feel like this is where we all are. We want to stop making decisions and doing stuff mindlessly, and we want to practice it as often as we can. We want to walk the talk, or and I think we're all at that place, and that's why that stood out to me, is that now we're wanting to make decisions with just the smallest item. And if we do it just a few times a day, we are practicing and going towards living our lives like that. And let's see, it says, sentence 3, this becomes easier and easier. So boy, yes, as all right, this becomes easier and easier as the teacher of God learns to give up his own judgment. The giving up of judgment, the obvious prerequisite for hearing God's voice, is usually a fairly slow process, not because it is difficult, but because it is apt to be perceived as personally insulting. Well, I don't know about all of that, but I hear that it does get easier. I know that it does. And about the judgment, I'll come over to 10. How is judgment relinquished? And paragraph 2, it is necessary for the teacher of God to realize not that he should not judge, but that he cannot. And I wrote down, we must not judge. And that's all. Thank you.
Robin, where were you reading that from? Which section is that from?
Well, the first reading was on page 26 on paragraph 2.
She's way ahead of us.
And, reading in the wrong place.
That's all right.
Oh dear.
Nobody was so good. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you shared it.
How is judgment relinquished? And
that's in paragraph 2. All
yeah,
right, so
and are changes required in the life situation of God's teachers?
all right, so
Okay,
am I
thank you.
am I behind? Was I
You're
doing week?
way ahead, girl.
I loved it. Thank you. Thank you,
So
Rob.
good.
You're just giving us a preview of what's to come.
Okay.
Loved it.
It's God's, I blame it on God.
Exactly. Divine perfection unfolding right in front of us.
Sorry, guys, but
That's okay. That's
Thank
okay. It was perfect.
thank you.
Mary Lee and then Leslie and then Carla quickly because I do have to end on time today.
Yes, when I was listening to Gwen, it just a couple things came to my thoughts, and one of them, so often most of us in our life experience have someone impact us in a very shaking way that our faith is just, we thought we had faith in this person or what they were saying and doing and why they were in our lives. And when that's all of a sudden shattered, the two things I thought of was one thing that helped me when perhaps as far as the heart is concerned, I was going through something perhaps similar to that you're going through, and that it is your resistance. It is our resistance to what is that causes our suffering. It's like, I can't believe this. I can't, and I kept trying and did receive help from it, but to actually live that, like, yes, I'm resisting this. And what are one of the things that I was resisting? I believe, and Leslie would know this, and many of you have no doubt heard, our 5 stages of grief when we've had a terrible loss. And one of them is anger, and sometimes we'll be in one really long, like maybe depression or resistance and non-acceptance. We're human beings that can be shaken so quickly by the impact of others in our lives. And I just wanted to say I those things and let someone else add their words now.
Thanks, Mary Lee. That's so kind. Leslie.
Very well said, Mary Lee. Yes, non-resistance. That's perfect. I was just going to say, Gwen, and Robin probably remembers this because you're my prayer partner at the time. Just it feels so devastating when you have a betrayal like that, when you think you know somebody and you don't. I mean, they do something that is just unbelievable. I mean, I was so betrayed by this person, and I was so hurt, and it made me doubt myself, because I'm usually so perceptive with people, and I usually can really read people, and I know them, and I love this person. I loved her. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, Robin, Emily, one of the attorneys where I work, and I just remember thinking, how did Jesus forgive Judas? How did Jesus? And then I kept hearing the phrase over and over too, when Jesus was on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, and I'm getting choked up just remembering it was one of the hardest things I ever went through. It really was, because like I said, it shook my faith up for myself. I miss this person. I love this person, and hearing all my coworkers speak badly about her, and knowing what she did was wrong, and still loving her anyway, and feeling so hurt. It was very painful. And I love what Linda, you said about the movement, but you're right too, Lynn, you can't do anything until you're ready. I swear I just cried for a couple months. I mean, and it's been 5 years now, and I haven't thought about her in months. And when I do, I just dig deep and say, God bless her, you know, and it wasn't personal. I mean, it wasn't personal. I know that now. I knew that then. It feels so personal, but nothing is ever personal, ever. And the only other thing I can say is that it's temporary. You'll get to, God willing, you'll get to that 5 years and it'll be a distant memory. You know, I mean, the fact that I'm getting a little choked up makes me feel like maybe I do have a little more healing to do, a little more forgiveness to do, but yeah, it's hard when you still miss that person, even though they stabbed you in the back, you know. It's rough. I feel for you. I wish I could give you a big hug. It's tough.
Yeah, thanks, Leslie. Yeah, I think we've all had those experiences.
Yeah, that was my first time though, when I was in my 40s, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, seriously, how did Jesus do it? I remember thinking that, because
Yeah.
he was really betrayed,
Yeah.
betrayed. Yeah.
But not really, because it was
Right.
it was the divine perfection of what was supposed to happen.
Exactly. And I mean, my job is way better now because this person left, but I
Yeah.
didn't see it at the time, you
Mhm.
know, because now I have a lot more responsibility and a lot more trust, and you just don't know. Like you always say, Linda, it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to accept sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But
And
that's where
sometimes
faith comes in, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Carla, please go.
We're all on our own journey. I recently saw a movie called Mary Magdalene, but it really explained why Judas did what he did. He thought he was doing the best thing, to something to motivate Jesus. He just didn't understand the whole process. But I don't know what to share quickly, but I realized that it's all about forgiveness, not forgiveness of what they did, but forgiveness of the meaning that I make of what they did. This person who lived here, he thinks that he needed to do what he did to make money to survive in the world. He wasn't trusting in God. He didn't have faith. He didn't believe that there's something outside of himself supporting us all. And so if I get mad at what he did, and I really have to shift a lot, but it's becoming less now. He's my blessing, he's my savior, because he pushed me to the limit to help me. And really it's me helping me. But he is my blessing. He is truly my blessing. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Carla, that you're having to deal with this. I can't even imagine what you're going through, but I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you are willing to see it as the blessing that it was meant to be. Yeah. And I love you, and I want to hug you and make it all okay for you. Oh.
It is all okay. It
Yeah.
is all fine. The world doesn't have to love me. I choose to love the world.
Yeah,
My choice.
exactly. Wise words. All right, I'm not going to read from the lesson, the insights. I'll post it in our group. But next week we will be doing how healing is accomplished, 1 and 2, the perceived purpose of sickness, and the shift in perception. And I'm feeling like that's as far as we will go, unless you're Robin and you want to read further ahead. Which I love that it was so divinely perfect for what we were talking about. So that's what we will do next week, is the perceived purpose of sickness and the shift in perception in how healing is accomplished. I love you all. I hope to see you soon. If anybody's interested, join the grief support group on Monday. Come hear me talk about the somatic movement, whatever.
It's at 3 p.m. Pacific time, right, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. See you guys. Love you. Have a great week.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.